Hey guys, it's Saria. Welcome back to my channel and another day of Vlogmas. Okay, so today's video is actually different. It is different. It's something I've never done before. Eric's Marco Poloing me. Hold please. Okay. So today's video is a collaboration with my friends over at Earrisistable Magic. Specifically, this is with Brad, but Nicole is also kind of included in this. So Brad had the idea of doing a custom Funko. So Brad actually makes custom Funkos and sells them, like as a business. I have made one custom Funko ever, and it was, I designed Walt Disney for Erica for her birthday, and then of course Funko like saw it and was like, oh, we totally need a Walt Disney Funko, let's release him with the castle and one up Saria. I see you, Funko. I'm just kidding, obviously they already had that in the works, but it had not been announced yet. So anyway, Brad said, what do you think about us both getting the same Funko as like a challenge, and then we each have to turn it into a Disney character that does not already have a Funko representation. So I can't turn it into like Ariel or Pocahontas or Rapunzel or anything like that because they already have Funkos. We also agreed that Erica and Nicole would get together and come up with which Funko we should do this for. That way me and Brad kind of are like both surprised. And then Nicole, being so generous, sent me the Funko for free. So I actually got it, and either this is a movie moment or Nicole sent me some other things. I'm gonna assume Nicole sent me other things. So I am gonna go ahead and open this and open the Funko first. Okay, so now that I've looked at how many presents are in here, I've decided to make this a completely separate video because otherwise this video is gonna be like an hour long. But the important part of this is make sure that you watch to the end because you want to see what I made this Funko turn into, and then also, of course, go check out Brad's video. I'm dying to see what he turned his Funko into. I don't even know what the Funko is yet, but like, he's very creative and he's an artist just like his mom, and so I cannot wait to see what he turns it into. Okay, so she did leave the Funko right on top, and it's not like, well, it is actually Christmasified. Oh, she wrote notes on it. Oh, Nicole. Okay, she said, your challenge, one Funko. Check. Disney character, imagination, craft supplies, and fun. Okay, so let's open this up and see what Nicole picked out. I really want to be like ultra surprised. Okay, so it's Betty Draper from Mad Men. I don't know. Oh! No, I think I know. I think I know exactly who this is.
I know exactly who this is.
Is gonna turn into. And I'm hoping Brad didn't think of the same thing. I don't know if we're supposed to like tell each other. I'm gonna have to message Brad and Nicole, but I am almost positive that Nicole sent this to me with one specific character in mind who I know for a fact does not have a Funko. So I'm so excited. So let's go ahead and jump into what I'm gonna turn this lovely lady into. Okay guys, so this is the Funko out of the box. She's super cute. She does have a cigarette in her hand, so I know I'm gonna have to cut that out. And I've decided, I think I'm gonna make this kind of a guessing game. So I'm not gonna tell you guys who I'm gonna turn her into, and I'd like you to leave me a comment below right now. Who would you turn this into? Like, who do you think I'm gonna go for with changing this? Because I had about 4 ideas, and the one that I landed on was nothing like my original ideas. So I started off just by lightly sanding all over the Funko because I did decide to add clay to her to change her dress, and just sanding her down a little bit creates like a better adhesion between the clay and the plastic. Then I'm going to remove the head. I've never done this before, but I watched one tutorial and it just said to put your hair dryer as hot as it'll go, and then just kind of loosen up the glue, and then the head should pop off. I did use an X-Acto knife just to kind of get underneath the head, and I will tell you guys I accidentally sliced a little bit in the wrong place, so just be careful if you're following this. And I'll be honest with you guys, I am not a pro at this. This is the second DIY Funko I've ever done, so I'm very, very much a beginner and I'm learning. And so
I don't know that I'm the person to follow for like expert advice. So then I finally got the head to pop off, and that's kind of what it looks like. You can remove this little like plate on the bottom, but I didn't really need to. I had a tiny enough paintbrush to get underneath it. So I am going to be painting the entire dress blue. At the time, I was unsure if I was going to add clay or if I was just going to try to make it work as is, and then I even toyed with the idea of just adding fabric onto it, but I felt like fabric was kind of cheating because Funkos don't usually come with fabric on them, like they're all plastic. So that was why I nixed that idea, but I basically gave this, I think I did 3 coats of blue, but looking back, because I added the clay, I really only needed to do 3 coats on the top. The bottom, I could have totally gotten away with 2 coats. And I'm using the Cool Blue Apple Barrel acrylic paint from Walmart. So I'm just going to speed through this, but basically I painted the whole thing carefully. And after painting the dress and the shoes, I moved on to painting her little headband blue as well. Now that you guys have seen the color I've chosen, I'm really wondering if you already know who I'm turning this into. So please leave below for me if you think that you have figured it out. But I'm just giving this headband about 2 to 3 coats of that cool blue paint. And then once that is dry, I'm actually going to add some glitter. Okay, so now moving on to the clay. So I'm just using regular Sculpey clay. I actually already had this on hand, but it is suggested that you use what's called super Sculpey clay. I don't know what the difference is. Brad, if you're watching this, feel free to leave me a comment below and explain it to everyone, because I don't know. But I added a really thin layer of this clay just to, again, it helps like the thicker layers stick better to the Funko. So this part's not really like aesthetically important, it's more so like functionally important. So I just added a really thin coat of it, and then I took this piece, and this was like my first mistake, because that's what this video is going to be, guys, me just discussing my mistakes with you. So I'm not a sculptor. I don't know if I've ever really used clay ever. So I just kind of used my hands to flatten it out, and then I felt really stupid because I know we have a rolling pin now, and I wish I'd gone and gotten the rolling pin. My daughter also has like 50,000 Play-Doh accessories, and I could have used those as well, but I didn't. So I just made this first flat piece for the front of the dress because this character's dress is floor length, and this dress that the Funko came in is more like a T-length dress. So I did this in 2 parts. I did like a front and a back, and I just kind of made it overly long and connected them on the bottom. I kind of wish that I'd done a thicker piece, because the clay was so thin that it was picking up like any indentation at all. Like if I pushed too hard on the Funko, it would pick up any little like design underneath the Funko in the plastic. And then also the clay was like keeping my fingerprints on it, which is why I said I wish I had used like a rolling pin. I also think that that would have helped leave the clay a little bit thicker when I was attaching it. But once I got the front and the back on, I took an X-Acto knife and I just trimmed up the bottom. And then after trimming up the bottom, I basically took my time and just tried to make it look more like a flowy dress, just by shaping the clay with my hands. For this next part, I took little triangles of clay and I just kind of trimmed them down because I'm adding like elongated sleeves from her wrist to her elbow. And I'm just doing this by, again, cutting little triangles, and then I'm just going to twist them on the bottom to make them look like they're curling. Now, just a little advice, same as before with the skirt, you do want to add a little bit of clay first, just all over where you're going to attach the sleeve, and then you want to gently attach the sleeve to that. So you want to kind of like smush it on the back and the front. I really only focused on what it looked like on the front, and then when it was all baked, I saw that the back was like not as clean as I would have maybe liked it. But again, this was a total learning experience for me, so you know, we're learning. But well, yeah, once I got these little sleeves on, you can see that I'm twisting the bottom here because it gives it like some flow and movement, which I really liked. So the next part is adding some detail to the front of this dress. So this character has a little kind of like brooch in the center of her bodice, and then there's also a little heart at the center of her belt line and a little line that goes down the center of her dress. So I just sculpted all that out of clay. I was a little bit sad because I took so much time to carve like this little teeny tiny heart on her waist, and then when it baked, it kind of like flattened out where it looked less like a heart. So I don't really know how to fix that, but that's what happened. I am adding a little thin line just below the bust line because the dress is like empier waisted in the movie. Again, I'm still trying to be secretive and not tell you guys who this is. And by this point, I kind of am hoping you figured it out just because it would make me feel like I did a good job, but it's fine. It's fine if you don't know. So I'm adding that little brooch, and then next I'm going to do a little detail on the skirt by creating that little heart and then a line that goes down the center of the skirt. And then before I pop this in the oven, I'm just going around the bottom and kind of like flaring the skirt, if that makes sense. I like the Funkos that look like the dresses have some movement to them, so that's what I was trying to do. And I did have one of her toes kind of peeking out from under the skirt. One, because I liked how it gave a purpose to the fact that I painted the shoes, and two, because I just kind of liked the look of it. It looked more realistic, I guess. But next I'm just going to pop this in the oven at 275 for 15 minutes because that was the instructions of the clay that I used. And don't worry guys, everything I've researched has said that like the Funko won't melt at 275, but they've also said to use a separate thermometer because most ovens are like completely inaccurate with the actual temperature. Fun fact. So I while that was baking actually, I took some Mod Podge and I added it to the headband just using a really thin brush. And then I went in and sprinkled on some, what's it called? It says fine blue violet glitter. And this is obviously because this character needs glitter. And then after removing my Funko from the oven and letting it cool, I went back in with that blue paint again and gave this, I think I ended up doing 3 coats just to make sure that it was completely covered. But the good news is that the top of the bodice was totally done other than the sleeve portions that I added. So now I am just painting this. And then I just gave it about like 30 minutes between the coats of paint. That's all I really needed to do. And this is what it looked like after all of that. As you guys can see, there's tons of little imperfections in my dress just because I'm not a sculptor, but I'm learning. So next is more Mod Podge and glitter because I'm just gonna tell you guys who this is because at this point, if you haven't figured it out, I don't, either you don't know who they are or I did not do a very good job. But I am turning this into the Blue Fairy from Pinocchio, and she is covered in sparkles in the movie, and every time she moves she kind of like glistens in the light. So I'm using that same iridescent glitter. Shout out to my uncle for sending me like a giant box of glitter that he had and wasn't using because that's where I got this from. I have no idea what craft store this is from, otherwise I would help you guys, but it's the original Prisma glitter, fine blue violet, 0.5 ounces. I'm reading the bottle right now. But basically I just did the Mod Podge and then I sprinkled on the glitter, tapped off the excess, and I let the front dry. And then after that was done, I went in and did the back as well. After all the layers of glitter were totally dry, I then went in with Mod Podge again and gave it a coat over it. Now I'm going to warn you guys, this is really not what you're supposed to be using if you're customizing Funkos. You should get a water-based clear coat. They do sell that at like Walmart and, no, sorry, not Walmart, maybe Walmart, but Home Depot and Lowe's for sure. I just didn't have any on hand and I didn't really want to go out and buy some for this project, so I'm just using Mod Podge. But because my paint was water-based, I do need to use a clear coat that's water-based. That is one thing that I do know. And then I'm doing the same thing on the dress. Just a little advice if you're just going to follow me and do Mod Podge. I tapped the Mod Podge on because if I pulled too hard brushing it or stroking the brush, it would pull up the glitter. So I noticed that tapping the Mod Podge on gave it a nice clear coat and didn't pull up any of the glitter. And then once that dried, my glitter was very nicely adhered to the Funko. Now, obviously, because this is the Blue Fairy, she needs wings. So I went to Hobby Lobby and picked up a 6-pack of butterflies. They were $2.99, but I used a 40% off coupon, so it was actually under $2 for 6 of them. And then I broke off the little centerpiece of the butterfly so that I would just have the white wings. And now I'm just going to be gluing those on using some E6000 as well as hot glue. The E6000 gives it a permanent hold, while the hot glue gives it like an immediate hold. And I am using a bobby pin to apply that because I'm a professional. Now I do want to show you guys, I was about to attach them and then I realized that the head might kind of impede the wings. So I did place the head back on. It's not glued on right now. I just like firmly placed it back down on the Funko. I am going to show you how to reattach it permanently in a bit. But just with it on there, I'm going to go ahead and glue these wings on again using some E6000 and some hot glue. I did kind of play around with them for a minute because I wasn't sure if I wanted them to be upside down or right side up. I did end up going just right side up like traditional butterfly style because that looked a little bit more like the pictures that I was finding, but I actually did prefer how they looked upside down. Like I thought that it looked cuter upside down, but it wasn't as accurate to the character. So again, a little dot of E6000 and a little dot of hot glue, and then I'm just applying these to her back. And then the next thing we need to do is cut out the rest of the cigarette from her hand. I am going to be giving her a little wand. I molded one out of clay, but I didn't show it because I don't end up using it. So I'm using an X-Acto knife just to very carefully cut out the rest of that little cigarette butt that was in her hand. It actually was super easy with the X-Acto knife. Just make sure that you're careful, obviously, because it's sharp. And then I originally tried to use some blue floral wire from Dollar Tree, but it was just too thick. So I found some thinner silver jewelry wire that I had on hand, and then I am going to be using that as her wand. Now I did have to turn her head another direction and not have it looking straight on because otherwise the wand didn't fit in her hand. And even now it's kind of a little bit too close to her head, like it looks like she's touching her chin with it, which I just accepted it because at this point, guys, I was too far in. There was no changing the plan now. So I just dipped the wand into the E6000 and then I just kind of slid it down into her hand. And then next we'll be reattaching the head using the E6000. So I am just applying a pretty generous amount on the inside of that little plate that's left on her neck. I used a Q-tip just to clean up a little bit that kind of oozed out the side. And then I'm just going to firmly hold down her head into the position that it needs to be in. And that is the last step in making this Funko. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun. This was such a different project for me. And I am gonna tell you guys now, me and Brad have already decided to do this again, maybe with a different twist. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to go check out Brad's video and let me know what you guys think. Would you have turned this into a different character? What character would you have chosen? I do know for a fact that Brad picked somebody else. So you guys are in store for a couple of different versions of this Funko today.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please head over to Brad's channel and make sure you check out his video. I cannot wait to see what he turned this Funko into because he's just so creative and an artist, and I cannot wait to see. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave me a comment, you know, share the video, all those things. It really helps me grow my channel and just to continue making content for you guys. So thank you so much for doing that. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.